All right. Welcome, everyone. It is so wonderful and lovely to see each and every single one of you. I hope that you're having a great day and you're enjoying the weekend. For anyone new, my name is Megan, and we host and have these really fun classes where we try new things and we have fun and we embrace the piece of art around creativity and the fact that anything can really happen in these classes. Tonight's inspiration, we are doing, I'm going to call it a fall kind of harvest moon, and it is going to be absolutely gorgeous. I'll go through the supplies as we get going here. So the supplies you'll need for tonight's class are I'm painting with watercolors tonight. Any of our classes, you're always welcome to use whatever medium you wish. If you wanted to do this black border, you could always tape out using painter's tape or other masking tapes a border. Maybe I'll do that after. So if you wanted to like put in a pretty black border like this, just make some of your elements a little smaller in the middle, and then you can kind of tape and do a border after. So I may do that after just because I don't have the right tape in front of me, but I think it would look really pretty with the contrast of the black border if anybody wanted to try it as a second step. In addition to watercolors, I'm using watercolors. I have this kind of fun set right here. You'll need a watercolor paper. You'll need just an array of brushes. I just grabbed two small brushes. One of the types of brushes that would be really helpful is a brush with a really fine tip for some of those long, skinny branches. That's going to be a really important factor for tonight's class. So a couple of brushes is good. Have one with a nice long or even pointy tip, really clean brush that will help you give some really nice fine lines for those birds and for those third and secondary branches. You need a plate or palette tray to mix colors. So I have one of those here. I also have a cup of water to mix my colors. And I have our printed inspiration here as well. So I'm going to kind of tuck this off to the side. I think everybody should be able to see it. I will shift over a little bit here and I'll shift this over here. I think that we can all see that there. And then if you wanted to grab a pencil and a round object to, let's see if I can make this any higher. You're gonna do a moon first. So we're gonna start in the background. We're gonna work our way to the foreground. So we're gonna do an outline of a moon. So if you need to take a moment in your home to go find an object to trace, I found this fun kids bucket. I wanted a pretty big rounded moon just because I like the statement of it. So find a moment and you can trace that moon. Your moon can be immediate. Mine's going to be directly in the center. So I'm just going to take a minute. And I'll pop off these handles if I can. Perfect. Halloween's coming. My kids can use this. All right. All right. So I'm going to, I can even flip it this way too if I want a really big one. But I think I'm going to use the bottom side. And I'm just going to center this. I'm going to kind of use my eye left to right and top to bottom. If you want to be meticulous, you can get a ruler out. I'm not going to do that. But I'm just going to do a soft pencil around this. And we're going to fill it in.
Ooh.
Okay. There is my moon. It's roughly in the center. And you get to kind of pick and choose your colors. So you can do oranges and yellows. We're going to start with lighter colors and we are going to work our way to darker colors. If you all have any questions during class, do not hesitate to let me know. I would love for your pencil to be as light as possible. So for me in person, the pencil is like full on pencil. I'm going to do a soft erase so I can still see my lines because we're going to start with this layer. And then we'll paint in the moon. We'll be playful and let it dry. And then we'll do a little bit of kind of background work as well. So we're going to get going. We'll do the moon first, but I'm just doing a little bit of a soft erase because I don't want these lines to show if I can help it. So just do a soft enough erase on these pencil lines so you can still see them at home. Okay. Try to get all those eraser marks off if you can. Keep it nice and clean. All right. That's a pretty thick line right there. Okay, I think that's probably pretty good. You probably can't see this, but it's still there, I promise. And then I love these oranges, these orangey colors. So with watercolors, I'm going to grab my biggest brush and I'm going to mix these colors with you. So what you do is I want you to mix your color first so you're happy with your color. And you're going to go lighter colors first. So with watercolor, we work light to dark. And we're just going to mix the color first. And I'm just going to take a few, I'm going to actually use one of these wells. I don't know why I was going in the middle. I'm using a couple of droplets of water. I'm just going to put 3 or 4, I'm just getting some water ready. Okay. And then I'm going to come over here to my palette and I'll do this with you. And I'm going to find, what do I want my oranges to be? Now I love like this brighter orange, but that's like pretty Florida orange. So I want it to be like a little darker. So maybe, but I want it to still be kind of light, but you can bring in other colors. So if I want to bring in maybe like a little bit of this blush red, I'm just going to make it a little darker. Ooh, that's like orangey. So I want you to play with what you want these colors to be. Now this might be like a gold. So I want you to play, this is kind of a mustard. Find a color that you like, and it's okay if it takes you a couple minutes. That's kind of a fun mustard color. I'm just being playful with what this could look like. I might bring a little bit of this orange in here. Ooh, yeah. Look at that. I like that. And I'm going to make this kind of watery. So I'm going to bring in some extra water. I'm starting to like this shade. And the more water I add, the lighter it will go on. So even though this may seem kind of dark, like to my eye, it will be a little lighter if I put it on. There's a lot of water in it. So I'm just giving a disclaimer. I cannot find my watercolor paper. So I am, oh, actually it might be right here. Do I have it right here? Oh my God, I think this is it. No. Oh yeah, it says, I think I have one left. Oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna quickly switch color paper. Actually, you know what? I'll just embrace life. I'm just gonna use this. So with watercolor, you can do wet on wet or wet on dry. So what that means is you can take your wet paint and put it on this dry surface. So right now our paper is dry. For this example activity, we are going to do wet on wet. So if you want to try this with me, it's very easy. You take your brush from your water cup, and I want you to paint your entire moon with water, just water. We're getting it wet. This is going to help. And again, I don't know how this is going to work on mine. I'm just going to try to do my best here. We're going to get it wet first, and then we're going to bring in the color. Try to stay within the lines. But paint your moon with water first. And I'm kind of putting on like a lot because I don't know how this is going to hold up. My canvas and my paper is flat down. If mine was up on a canvas or an easel, this could all drip. So I'm just doing a wet and watery moon. And then we're going to bring pigment in. So now that that's wet, I'm going to take some of this lighter color and I'm just going to slowly start to paint my moon. Now with watercolor, I'm kind of going around the edges. See how that's nice and light? That's what I wanted. We go light to dark, kind of going around the edges first. But I want you to start with lighter colors. I have a little bit, I'm just going to test this one out. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to grab, I want to make this a little more yellowy. So I want you to be playful with how you fill in your moon. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to bring in some more colors that I like, but I'm going to mix those colors first on my plate. So maybe a little bit of this orangey yellow. Ooh, and you can figure out, you can watch and see how the colors disperse. You need to add more water. It's going to be really pretty on how it dries. So just be open-minded to where you may want to leave white space. You don't have to fill this in like normal. So I want you just to be playful. Try adding 2 or 3 different colors to your moon. Yellows, oranges, whatever colors you want. Try adding a little bit of extra water. See how that dissipates. Try leaving a little white space here and there. This is your choice. So the moon over here has a lot more color in it. But you can just slowly be playful and add a little more. And you can get darker as you go. Just start out with nice and light colors. Okay. These oranges are kind of fun. Maybe I'll make a little bit of an orangey brown color just to see how that goes. So I'm gonna have a little bit of brown and a little water. I don't want to go too brown, but a little brown kind of tinge could be kind of fun. And I'm just kind of starting on the outside and just kind of seeing what happens. I have a little bit of like pooling happening, which is kind of interesting. So just move your paints around, let it dry, see what happens. You can do some rounded brush strokes to see if it moves things around in one way or another. With watercolor, it's really fun just to kind of see what happens. If you want to get darker with your pigments, you can add more pigment here on your plate first. So what may that look like? So here's a little bit of orange. I just brought in more pigment from my palette over here. But I don't want it to be that bright of orange. I kind of want to bring in a little bit. I have like a burgundy rose. I don't know what this is going to do, but it's kind of pretty. So I'm just going to grab this. And just keep in mind, we're putting a black or a darker tree on top of this. So I want to keep this like kind of light. Ooh, look at this. So this is like really kind of red and punchy. This might be like I'm doing like a blood moon apparently now. So just kind of take your time. I'm going to try to stay towards the oranges, but just fill this in any way that you wish and just kind of see what happens. And if you need a minute to let it dry, then give it a minute to dry. If you need to kind of pick your my paper is starting to bend a little bit. See what happens. You want to add some layering in, you could add some layering in. I'm just having fun. And you can let it dry and also come back to it. That's fine too. I have some pooling happening. So if your paper is kind of warping, you can kind of just pick up your paper and just tilt it around a little bit. This is like the polar vortex happening. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, it's like all going on the inside. That's kind of fun. So again, I'm not using the right paper, but I'm sure you all are. So I'm just going to play with just moving my pigment around, just seeing what happens. So this is, again, I'm experimenting. I'm being in the moment with each of you, and I'm just rolling with what I have in front of me. And that's kind of pretty, right? See how it's moving the pigment? It's flowing. I'm tilting my paper and it's kind of flowing around in a circle. If you wanted to play with that technique, you're welcome to. Seeing where the paint pigment catches. This is not like a normal technique. I'm just trying to move some of it. I have a lot of water on here, so I'm just moving it around. But I'm getting some really pretty colors and some really pretty pigments are sticking in a lot of different areas. So I want you to just take your time, enjoy the process of painting your moon. You can also let it dry and we can come back to it, which is another very normal part of watercolor. You have to be really patient to let things dry. I'm going to figure out where I can let this just sit. I think I'm going to let it sit right over here. You can also grab the corner of a paper towel or napkin and blot up any extra water. Then I can always add more pigment to it. So I'm just going to let it sit. And that kind of looks neat. All right, the zoom is funny. I'm going to zoom it down a little bit more. And I'm just gonna let it dry. There's some fun magic happening here. And then I want you to think about what texture, as your moon is drying and you're playing with your layering. I'm going to blot some of this up. Just a little bit here. And you can kind of create some fun texture. So I just created some unique texture here. I have a dry napkin. You can kind of create some like fun texture if you want to on your moon. Again, art, you can do anything. And this is kind of a fun example of that. Some fun texture. And I can always make this darker, right? So if I look at the inspiration, it's pretty, it's darker in color. So I'm going to let that dry. And we can be playful with what we want to do in the background. So the background is kind of like a gray scratch. And this is up to you. You can either leave your background the way it is, or you can experiment with me if you want to. So I'm just going to let my moon dry. And we're just going to do some kind of fun. I'm going to do some light gray, kind of streaky vertical lines. You can do any kind of texture you want. It's totally up to you. You can experiment here with me if you wish. But what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to get some water on my palette here. I'm just kind of creating a new pool. And I'm going to find, I have a little bit of a gray here. I'm going to mix a little bit of a gray. Now you could do water, wet on wet, put water down. Could be a fun thing to try. So there's some gray. Let's see what happens. Or you could do it wet on wet, or wet on dry. So I'm just going to do wet on wet, and I'm just going to put some water. I'm doing wet brush, no paint, and I'm just doing some vertical brush strokes, kind of going up and down all over, just creating a little bit of wetness for some paint to travel. If you want to do like gray splatter, could also look very cool. So if anybody wants to see gray splatter versus vertical lines, you let me know. I'm happy to be the guinea pig. Just holler. Let me know what's speaking to you. I'm going to try gray vertical lines first. If I don't like it, I can just do some fun gray splatter. But I'm just doing some wet brush strokes. I'm letting my moon dry. We can do more work on our moon. I have some like funky pooling going on. So I'm just going to do some shifting again. So with art, we don't get stressed out. We just kind of embrace the situation and what's happening. There we go. And I'll probably make my moon a little more golden, but I'm just getting some water on my paper. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this gray paint, and I am going to get a little more water and a little more gray paint. And I'm just going to do just some textured brush strokes. This is going to be a really, and you can use a tiny brush if you want little lines. I'm just doing this as like a little bit of texture in the background. And I ran out of that paint pretty quickly, so I'm just going to make some more. You could barely see it. This is for you to create any textured background that you wish. I think what I'm going to do to be fun is I'm going to add both textures. I'm going to do some gray lines. You can do some halfway. You can do some all the way down. Do it all the way up and off the page. I'm just having fun. Like there is no, and I'm just doing all vertical, up and down, up and down. It's just a subtle detail in the background. That's it. You're barely going to see it. You can come all the way down to your moon. And I'm going to do some gray splatters too, because hey, why not? I love doing fun and different things in these classes. And with a little bit of a light gray with the dark contrasting tree, it could look really pretty. But you can pick and choose your style always for these classes. I'll turn this here so you can see our inspiration. And I'm just going to do, and I love that each of you, all in these classes, you're getting so brave and you just kind of follow your own idea. That's exactly what this is about. So I'm just moving this paint around, and I kind of like these long lines. They kind of look like long trees a little bit. I don't know if anybody else is seeing that on yours. These kind of look like long trees kind of in the background, which kind of is fitting for, the big tree we're putting in the foreground. So I have this gray right here. And I'm starting to see these like long kind of column trees coming from behind, which I kind of like. There's a little bit of white space in between these. They're just vertical lines. So I'm kind of embracing art for what it is right now. The opportunity to practice just an idea without feeling like I have to be doing something one way or another. And I love the look of this. You probably can barely see it on my video, but find a style, find a texture that works for you. If you need to use a smaller brush, grab a smaller brush. I'm probably gonna do a few splatters too, just because I can. But I'm gonna make a little bit more of this gray paint. Take your time. Always go at your own speed in these classes. But take a couple deep breaths. I'm so glad you're here, making time for you. It's so important. Amongst the craziness of our lives and schedules and weekends and chores and all those things, the laundry will still be there, ladies. So we have to make time and do the fun things for us too. My husband probably would hate me hating me say that, but
I
taking the
can't mute myself here.
what'd you say?
I was trying to mute myself. There we go.
No worries, I can help you too. So I have some really fun kind of gray texturing lines. I love what's kind of happened over here. They're subtle, but it's a fun, kind of simple background. You could even use, this is kind of another fun consideration. I use this, I don't know, 1/4 inch kind of square tip brush. I could do the same technique with a thin brush and have like tiny lines in addition, which could be really kind of cool. Maybe I'll just try it just to see what it looks like. I love when I see multiple textures in like a background. It just is really fun and fascinating to me. I'm kind of doing lines kind of straight up and down, all the way up to the bottom to the top. And you can actually start to see it on this video. It's actually interesting. You can see it there.
I
I'm
grabbed
gonna
my
try to
fan
bring it
brush
up
to
a little
play.
bit. The it's like not zooming very good, so apologies. But I'm gonna my moon is still shifting. All right. Perfect. So I just have that moon that's drying, and I have some of those thicker lines. I'm gonna just experiment and just do some of these like lighter gray ones, these little lines. I'm just gonna see what happens. In the inspiration, there's like some cracks and like some other textures. I'm not sure how to do those easily, so I'm not gonna do those, but I can take a smaller brush and I'm just gonna do a little bit of extra lines. Now I have not a lot of water right there, so I'm just gonna try to smudge those in if I can. I had a lot of pigment and not a ton of water, so it went on darker than I wanted, which is okay, right? I'm just embracing the process. But this is kind of fun if you want to do any smaller lines. This is a lot of background detail, so we're going to be putting the big tree on top. So this is just kind of play with the background and kind of manipulate it any way that you wish. The goal is to keep this as light as possible because we're going to put that dark contrasting tree over all of this. But it's kind of fun to experiment with this background. So fun. I'm going to make a little bit more paint in a minute. And if you wanted to go in and add some more color to your moon, I just encourage you to flow through this project, through this all together. Just go at your own speed, flow from one to another if you wish. I'm just being really playful with this background for the right now. I have a lot of pigment, so I'm just going to make this a little more watery. If you happen to do something you don't like, you can always take the corner of a wet paper towel and kind of blot up and fix your work. That's fine. I'll do a couple of splatters just because, um, I love doing things that are a little different. So I'm going to protect my moon and I'm just going to do a couple of splatters. Oh, I like the splatters a lot. Those are fun. I'm just kind of covering my moon with my hand. Again, I love like multiple textures. For me, it's a lot of fun, but you can kind of pick and choose. And this is just like subtle details behind the tree. Ooh, yeah. This is a light gray that I'm using. You can barely see it on camera. Ooh, those are some big spots. I'm just kind of, I'm going all over, top, bottom. Again, I'm covering my moon. And I'll go back to my moon in a minute. Now, with any watercolor painting, it takes a minute for things to dry, right? We are not going to be able to paint our tree on top until everything dries. So what we'll do after this background splatter is we're going to finish our moon color. I want you to be happy with your moon color. And then we'll let the moon dry. We'll do our birds next while the moon is drying. And then after our birds, we'll do the tree. Okay. So this is really fun. I'm going a little splatter crazy. I really like it.
Megan, I thought those were bats. They're
You
birds?
know what, Susan? It's all up for your own interpretation, girlfriend. They could be bats, they could be birds. You could put them as blue jays. You could do little bees, but they're bigger than bees, Susan. So you probably.
I think they're bats.
They could be
I thought
bats.
they were
Yeah,
bats too.
totally. Was there anyone? I did a AARP New Hampshire class last week. Look at these bats. Does anybody see these?
Oh, those are awesome.
Isn't that so
Oh, I
fun?
missed that one. Those are
Love that.
awesome.
Oh, it was so much fun. So these are my bats, Susan. So I'll
Those are great.
bats if you need it.
Yeah,
See,
the
I have to join the group though. I thought it was bats too.
Yeah,
Oh,
bats are
good.
good. We can
We
definitely
got
do bats.
Halloween on the mind.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can do bats, totally.
Is that painting linked anywhere, Megan? That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, AARP New Hampshire. It's on their YouTube channel. I don't know if they posted it yet, but it will be posted there soon. So what I can do is once it's available, I'll post it in the Patreon area just so you guys have access.
Oh,
Thank
Great.
you.
Happy to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
I saw that in the background of your video there for the bags, and I kept looking at it, wondering what that one was.
Oh, because you saw it. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, in the background.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, for sure.
speaking of the bags,
Yeah.
for some reason, it tells me that I don't have a valid money source and it never asked me for my credit card
Weird.
anyhow. So of course I don't, when I go to order the bag,
Yeah,
it doesn't ask for my credit card information.
that's so weird.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
you and
emailed you,
we can go over
Megan.
that after. That's no problem.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe you didn't select like Stripe or your payment processor because I was trying to order one too.
And I didn't do what?
No, I think Megan, like,
Oh, you're saying it's
Oh.
not connected to my e-commerce?
yes,
Oh,
I
that's
think
so
that's what it
weird
looks
because
like.
the store's been set up for a while, but if it's not giving you an option to buy, I can verify that after class. So I'll post a note in
Yeah.
Patreon. I can go and test it. But I've had
Thank
orders come through previously, but maybe something got disconnected. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, ladies, I am gonna let my background here is pretty dry. My moon is a little wet. What we can do is let's work on our moon color. I want everybody to be happy with their moon. I want my moon to be a little more golden, a little more mustardy. So just take a few minutes to dial in the color of your moon. Okay. And then we'll do the birds or the bats after. Okay. So I kind of have a golden color here. It's a little too yellowy. So you kind of have to just play and mix your colors. Find the right color before you start painting. Always, always, no matter you're doing watercolor or acrylic, just find that right color. Let's see, maybe if I bring a little bit of this red in, that's a little better. Look at that. Bring a little bit of this in here. It's pretty decent. I want to stay pretty yellowy though. So just take a few minutes to mix that. And this is going to be your brightest color, right? Because you're putting a dark tree on top. If you want to do wet on wet, you can. You just need to come in and just re-wet it if you need to. or you could just go for it. So totally up to you. I'm gonna make mine. So do a brush stroke and let it dry. Just see what happens. You can switch to a bigger brush again if you want to. I'm gonna switch to a bigger brush. So experiment with filling in your moon. And again, you can bring in different colors, just seeing how one thing goes into another. Bringing more water on will help all the colors kind of seep and blend into one another, which is really fun. You can kind of do a little bit of like craters and texture. You could dip the corner of your paper towel and kind of create texture on your moon that way. You can see I have some darker colors kind of over here on the top right side. These are some red and orangey colors. And then you can just let it dry. If you have a hair dryer, you can get a hair dryer. If you just want to wave your hand around, that works too. But with watercolor, you kind of have to just stop touching it a little bit and just like let it go. Let it go the way that it wants to go. Now my paper's bending. Your paper may be bending too. I'm just going to try to shape and bend. I'm going to pull my paper off here. I'm going to kind of, you could shape and move your paper around if you need to. Ooh. But I like that I have the dark colors and the light colors. And I want a nice round edge all the way around the moon too. So if you need to do any adjustments, have a nice edge. Around your moon. Just do that and let it dry and just see what happens. You'll start to see the pigment kind of collect in certain areas. It's okay if your moon gets a little bigger. I'm not going to judge you. Don't worry. I feel like our moons always take shape. If you want some areas to have a little more pigment, add a little more pigment. See what happens. But I love that the moon has different levels of contrast. There's some more yellowy areas, some more orangey areas. Like I'm being really open-minded and playful with what's happening. And it's kind of a fun thing to see and to experiment with using the tip of your brush and moving the paint pigments around if you wanted to. Just seeing what happens. We are going to want this to dry completely before we do our tree on top. We're going to do our bats. We're going to help our moon dry and we're going to do our bats after, but take several minutes. I want you to be happy with your moon. Okay. So I'm just going to let mine dry and I'm not going to touch it. Sometimes we just slow down with a little bit of watercolor. And it's kind of therapeutic to force ourselves to slow down, especially when we have a lot going on. It's that yin and yang of life, right? It's that really high buzz, go, go, go energy. If we don't have enough, the yin and the yang within our lives, it's really important. There's just too much stir. Too much stir. So take a few minutes and play with that. I'm gonna let that dry. If anybody, I don't want to rush anyone, but yeah, you're welcome to grab something, kind of wave it around. We're gonna do our birds in a minute, but I'll wait until everybody is done with the moon before we do the birds so we can stay together as a group. So I'm waving this around. I'm happy with my moon. I'm just gonna let it dry. I like the color. It's gonna look great with that darker contrast on top. I kind of have a little bit of a line pooling, so you can kind of shift. You can kind of hold this down, shift some lines, shift some things a little bit if I need to. Shift my pigment down and over. You can also use your finger if you need to, but I'm just gonna let that dry. I think that looks pretty cool. I like the honey of it. It's like a warm honey color, isn't it, Susan? A little bit of a honey,
Yeah.
a little honey. And we'll do birds or bats whenever you're ready. There's no rush. You just want to mix a black or a dark gray of your choice, nice and watery, some good water in there. You can always start light and work your way darker. If anybody needs 1 more minute or more time, give me a 1 more minute or more time with your fingers on the screen. I'll take a peek. If everybody's good, give me a thumbs up. I have lots of thumbs. Thank you all. I just want to make sure I'm not moving ahead too quickly. So the goal here is to let the moon dry, and we'll do some of these birds next. Now, you have a choice to sketch your birds with the pencil first if you want to. Okay? I will show you what that looks like so you can see it. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to, but I'm going to show you. The birds are at the top. The tree is going to come about an inch or two above the moon. Okay, so I'm going to lay my pencil here just to show you. Actually, I'll grab another one. I'll grab another pencil. So my tree is going to come about here. Okay, about that high. And my birds are going to be kind of up here around it. So the birds, there's kind of like 1, 2, 3, and then they get smaller. The further away, they get smaller. So if you wanted to do any sketching for birds, you could just do like a little bird's body, and you can kind of just play with the wings, right? And then maybe there's a bird. Can you see that? I think you can see.
Yep.
I'm going to zoom down a little bit more so you can see it a little better. And then I want you to play with, changing the position of your bird and maybe just doing the bird's wings come down. Or if you're not doing a bird, you're doing a bat, right? Same thing. Kind of play with the position of your animals in the sky here. Some of the wings may be going up. And then they get a little smaller as they're further away. So these are like the worst lines. I think my worst birds ever, but you get the picture here. So the lines can come up a little bit, but this is just gonna kind of boost our confidence a little bit when we get on here with and see where my pencil is? There's gonna be a tree right there. The branches are gonna come up that high. So I'm showing you visually creating the buffer, right? And I want you to use the smallest brush you have and keep sketching if you're sketching. There's no rush. I want you to spin your brush to have a nice fine point. And I'm just going to come in and just do a little bird's body. And this is really dark. So manage how much water is on your brush. Try to squeeze some of it out of it. See how I just got rid of, there's a lot of water right there. So what I could do is I could take the corner of a napkin and just blot it up a little bit gently. But I got rid of some of the water, and this will be a little easier. You can do smaller, more definitive brush strokes. Really light brush strokes. If the birds are a little gray, that's okay. You can always make them darker. See too much water? Spin your brush, get some of the water out. See how that went on really heavy right there? So I worked doing this together. Okay. So the other thing you can do is you can dip your paper towel. I'm also using the wrong paper. So I'm also dip my thing in a little and I can kind of wipe it off really quick. I might do that down here too. Yeah. So with a wet paper towel, you can wipe things off, which is really nice. But take your brush and just kind of squeegee out some of the water. Spin it on your plate, squeegee out some of that water, and then go in and do your lines. Okay. And then you can go in and make these darker. If you're doing bats, just do the inner wing a little wider. So mine are very gray. I'm going to zoom up a little bit just so you can see. They're not perfect, but it's a good starting place. Again, spinning your brush, getting some of that out. Then you can come in and you can reshape. You can play with the shape of the wing a little bit. The tip of the wing is going to be a little bit skinnier. So try to use just the tip of the brush. So my birds are really big, and that's okay, right? I'm going to come in. I'm going to let this bird down here dry. He's a little wet, so I'm just going to leave him alone and come back to it. And you want your birds to get a little smaller. I have some really big birds. That means they're just closer to me, which is fine. And they're pretty dark in contrast in the inspiration. I wanted to put some like little ones kind of in the distance, kind of tucked in.
I have one bat and birds.
You have one bat and then all the other birds.
I do.
Nice.
The bat has two pointy ears.
Ooh, I love that. Yes.
I think I'll make a couple of birds bats.
Like a little dip down for the tail. I'm gonna do a little one here, like in the distance. There. So I'm gonna lean back in my chair and I'll, add more or less, but I did have several little birds, so that's fine. I can always add more if I want to. Now we definitely want our moon to be like totally dry before we keep going. Now there's a lot of space right here around the moon and the birds. That's okay. I have a little bit of a wet situation with this bird, but I'm just gonna let it dry and I'll go in and I'll fix it. So it's okay to like let these birds dry and then come back in. That's no big deal. All right. So there's my birds. They're flying all over. I think they're lost. I have lost birds. It's the moon. It's really messing them up. All right. And I want your moon has to be dry. So my moon is still wet. I'm just going to clean off my brushes. This is where we have to be patient with watercolors. If anybody wants to get any tape and do some lines, or if you want to add any other objects to your painting, you can. I'm just waving this around and I'll zoom back out and I'll check on the website after for the credit card payment situation. I've always had it set up, so it surprises me that it wasn't working. So thanks for telling me. I appreciate it. If you want to do any more background detail, you can, but I'm pretty happy. So I have my moon. Moon is like 80% dry. Once it gets like, it's not like dripping wet, we can continue, but I want to make sure that it's dry enough. Now, if anybody's going to do a black frame, it's really important to acknowledge something. So you can see here on the inspiration that the tree stops at the bottom of the black frame. So let me see if I can find any tape. I have one in my car. I did an event last night and I had tape in my car. I will not go get, but let me see if I can find another one. I can also just use a flat edge and do a line, which I might do. So if anybody has a ruler or like a flat cardboard edge, I'm going to do a line here. While my moon is drying, this is something we can easily do. So I have a flat edge here. Let me see if I can raise my camera up a little more. There we go. Beautiful. And I'm going to I can be very specific if I want to. So if I'm going to be putting a border, I want it pretty high up here by my birds. So I kind of have to go by that right now. So the birds for me are literally I'm going to go a half inch. I'll do a half inch from the bottom just for consistency. So a half inch is right about here. So I'm going to use my pencil and I'm just going to do a black line using this, but I'm just going to do a half inch mark and then I'll do a line across. So my tree can go on top of it. So I could just do a little bit of a thin pencil line here. Half inch, half inch. And if I'm going to go a half inch from this side too, I could do that. So let's do a half inch there. So I'm just kind of doing my corner here and I'm going to go across and do my half inch here. And this is going to allow me to put my bottom of my tree trunk right on this line. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. This is just an option for you to consider. So I'm doing a half inch on the bottom. I only did a half inch because I went up high with my birds. That's why I'm doing it that way. And I'm going to do a black watercolor line on this to hold space. So that's my intent. And I'm going to do a half inch on my left and a half inch on my right. So let's do this right here. And then this would be just enough for me to get my tree in, right? So it's landing right on the bottom. So I have a pencil line on the bottom of my paper and I'll do the black line using, and this is killing time, right? I'm doing a black line because I'm going to put my tree on top of this. I have a flat ruler. And if you have any type of like large box, you could use a box. I'm going to line this up nice and even. I'm going to grab a small brush of choice. And this line can change, right? It can get thicker. And I am going to I'm going to kind of squeegee out some of the water. And I'm just doing a little bit of a line. Now, you don't have to use the ruler to do the line. You could just do the line on top of the ruler or on top of the paint right on top of the line. So I'm just going to use my hand and go nice and slow. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. I'm just being in the moment, creating a space where I can land my tree. And it's neat because these classes, you can kind of pick and choose what details you want to incorporate. And I kind of like the idea of this line. And I'm just holding my hand down slow. I have my pinky dragging on the bottom of my table for stability as I pull it slowly and I follow this line.
Mm.
Okay, it's kind of neat, kind of a little rustic. All right, and I'll maybe do that all the way around. How are folks doing? My moon is like pretty dry. Give me a thumbs up if your moon is like pretty dry. Give me like a 1 more minute if you feel like it's wet. Janice is doing something. Okay, cool. So I did that line. I'm gonna let the line dry for a minute and then we can jump right into doing the tree. But the tree is, I want your tree to have character. See how this tree is not straight, okay? If it's an eerie tree, it's not straight. It can come up, it can come over. We're gonna do the primary trunk first. So see how this primary trunk comes up and it kind of bends over and it kind of splits in the middle to these secondaries. When I say secondaries, it's these like neck size down trunks. So we'll do those after. But you basically want to come to the middle of your moon with your primary trunk and just make it a little thinner. We're gonna do single lines at first, but we'll do it all together. So we can do a single line, make the bottom of our trunk bigger as we need to, but see, single lines will get us going. I'm going to start with a smaller, and I mixed like a grayish black here. I'm just going to make a little bit more and kind of wipe off some of the water. And I'm just going to be brave. So I know that my tree, it's going to start in the middle. I'll bring this here. It's going to start in the middle. And I'm just going to use my brush. And it's going to kind of veer off. And I can always change the shape of it. So if I don't like the way I did it, the bottom's going to be wider anyways. Just kind of fix it, right? It's okay. And then maybe there's going to be another one that comes over here. So I want you to kind of, and mine's really straight, which is such a sad example. I didn't even mean to do that. I'm just going to bend it over here a little bit. And then maybe I'll have another branch that kind of comes up here. Okay, so I want you to start building your trunk. Use your eye. My trunk like took a turn for the worst here. I don't know what happened, but I'm embracing it for what it is. These are some secondaries. So your tree's gonna have a couple of Ys, right? And kind of come up and over. I'm doing nice and light. Your tree is just gonna continue to come to life. You want to make sure you have white space around your tree. My tree looks very stick-like right now. That's okay. I want your tree to evolve in the way that it wants to. So you can have some straight pieces. You can have some pieces that kind of come straight up, some pieces that turn. This is where I want you to feel out this experience. You're going to use and there's going to be a lot of branches. So I just want you to kind of get in the zone. Start with some of these bigger branches first, like I am, and then you can play with some of these secondaries. But there's all these Ys that happen off these trees. So there's some high Ys, there's some low Ys. And you can create and hold some empty spaces. Like this, I might leave as somewhat of an empty space. So just think about where you may want to have some space held in your tree. It's kind of fun to think about that. And this is where we're just going to slow down and enjoy this process, okay? I'm going to come up here. You're going to use the tip of your brush. You can have some branches kind of come down lower. We're going to do a lot of branches. We're going to see how meticulous we can get this. Branches can overlap branches, which is kind of fun to think about. Branches can go up, they can go down. Lean back in your chair and just see what happens here. Create space, do a high branch up, and then kind of do a low branch with a little wiggle down. We'll do a bunch of little ones too. But I want you to continue to build upon this. Now my moon is a little bit wet in the middle. It looks like I'm also using the wrong paper, so I might get a little bit of spreading of paint pigment where you may not, which I'm going to embrace that because that's my situation right now. But think about the canopy of your tree, right? We talk about this in our classes sometimes. The way your branches come out, they're creating and holding and forming the canopy. See, I'm creating this round canopy visually. There's space around it, right? See, I just added a couple more like secondary branches in here. This one's gonna have another one. It's gonna kind of Y out. But I'm keeping space for my friends above, right? See that? I went a little high there, but I'm not gonna go any higher. This is where you can just use the tip of your brush And just continue. I'm going to make this very stick-like. Like I'm going to. It's going to be a lot of sticks happening. Alternate from one branch to another. Alternate from the left to the right side of each branch and each twig to add that detail. And there's a lot of it. Don't feel rushed. Just have fun with just kind of seeing what happens. It's a lot of Ys. It's a lot of just even little sticks off the middle. A lot of like random, you know, this and that. Broken sticks. You know how trees are. There's always a broken branch. Too many squirrels playing on our trees, you know? But you can look at the inspiration. I'm going to let this dry. I'll do a second coat after to make it have more contrast, but just go at your own pace. Manage how much water's on your brush. If it's watery, you may have a thicker line. But look at each branch and each twig for what it is. Try to be as delicate as possible. And that's where it's hard. We get excited about these details, but if we just slow down just a little bit, you can continue to add in that really fun detail. Mine's very gray-like, which is fine for right now. But you're going to create multiple Ys. Just try being really light as you do these smaller like details. Be really light on your hand. Just to see what happens. There's a lot of like long skinny sticks that are kind of connecting one branch to another. I don't know if anybody else noticed that about the inspiration. Kind of making it intertwined, like it's a really messy, unpruned tree. I did a little bit of that at the top. See all that overlapping I just did? You can consider that where you may want overlapping, where you may not want overlapping, right? Okay. So just play with each branch where it is. This is very light in color still, which is fine. I can come in and darken any of this. Be really gentle and soft with your hand. Just let it stream along. I'm trying to fill out some more of these branches so you can just do some long lines. Your secondary branches could be long or short. They could come down, have a little broken Y off the bottom. See, I have some darker areas and some lighter areas. There's a really funky Y happening right here, and I feel like I need to be dramatic and like add something in here. I don't know what this is gonna do, but I'm just gonna embrace my idea. But you can make your trees as full or as thin as you want with these branches. And if you just want to use your same branches and just go over them again with a second coat, that's okay. So I'm going to do that. Let's mix some more paint. And you can see it's starting to come to life. Very spooky, but the darker contrast will really bring it to life. If anybody wants to bring any purple or any greens into your tree, feel free. I'm just grabbing a little bit more black. I'm gonna do, I just have, this is a heavy black pigment now, you can see that. I'm gonna go in and make this more dark in color. Now again, you can squeegee out some of the water if you want nice thin lines. But for me, I'm looking for that contrast now. And you can see that's really starting to come to shape with what I just did. Again, I'm spinning my brush on my plate and my palette. This is also another great practice because if there's any lines you don't like, you don't have to go over those again. Kind of neat, right? Using a lighter color to be strategic. See now all this dark is coming in, which is nice. And I am just going to slowly, again, you can spin some of the water out of your brush if you need to. I am going to add some of this contrast. Again, I'm going to do a little paint management. Maybe some of these big primaries and big secondaries I just start to bring in. Okay. So this is where the contrast is really going to start, but you can be playful with these secondaries, these sticks, right? Because some can stay lighter and some can just be a little darker. So you can kind of pick and choose. It's adding additional texture to your tree on what you choose to have this darker color or not, which is kind of neat. Okay. We just have a little patience, a lot of detail with these branches, but this is one of the kind of the fun aspects of the class. In the inspiration, some of these branches are kind of curled upwards. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. These are kind of curled upwards over here, like eyelashes. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, just so you can see it. I didn't do this initially, but it's kind of a fun tape. So I'm just going to do a couple of really kind of curled upward like eyelashes. See that? If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. I'm going to do secondary branches off of those. It's okay to still have downwards too, but I'm giving you an example of if you wanted to create a little uplift, you could do that. These will all have secondary branches, so like little in third ones too, so you can kind of twig these out a little bit. And if you wanted to like put any leaves or berries or anything on these, you can. You could put branches on the undersides of those too. So just take your time, enjoy the process. But this is where that black pigment is really going to start to stand out. So I'm just going to add it all over so it looks a little more even. And some branches might look a little funny if they don't have any other secondaries coming off. So just add a couple of secondaries. Again, your choice on what you want to add. If you want to make it look really spooky, you can add some of these like funky downward ones that have just like some weird turns. That will make it look a little more organic, but you can see how it's really coming to life with the secondary black color. Can really dial in what branches you want to kind of spend more time on, which overlap, right? I'm gonna add a little creepy branch right here. I had a couple like kind of creepy broken branches up here. That's where the birds like to sit. Janice, on that creepy branch at the top. Does anybody have a tree? I have a tree at our camp that we have eagles that always sit in it, and it's like the broken branch because those birds are so darn heavy. So funny. How is everybody's painting coming along? Is it eerie? Is everybody being playful with the number of branches, doing that second coat with black or a darker color of choice? Kind of changing the angle of these branches. It's kind of fun to see it evolve. But we just have to take our time and be patient with it. For me, it's not even all dark yet, so I can come in. I'll add a little more pigment. I'll be a little more bold. My tree it's far too straight. I broke my own rules here. I'm like, everybody make a wiggly tree, and mine's like straight in the middle. I'm like, didn't even listen to myself here. It's all right. You know what I should have done is I should have sketched out that tree trunk. That would have been a good example of sketching, right? So it was crooked the way I wanted it to be, not straight up the middle like I was telling everyone to not do. No, it doesn't matter. No big deal. Add some little crooked branches down here. So all these little branches, you need to have all these little broken twigs and things off of them. Otherwise, it's not going to look normal. They can be downward. Again, I like to alternate from the left to the right side. Oh, that branch got a little crazy. All right. Okay. I'm going to make my tree trunk nice and dark. It's a little wide down here. I think I need to fix it. There we go. I'm going to make mine really dark down here. And I kind of have to commit to making it wider since I picked that shape. Now I can bring my branches lower. So look at the inspiration. I could bring in like a really low kind of twisted branch, or I could bring one up high and kind of tuck it in. Let's see how daring I'm going to get. I think I'm just going to focus on kind of fixing this trunk. For me, it's inconsistent with the shape in the middle, so it's kind of wide in some areas and thin on the other. So I'm going to focus on fixing the shape first. And maybe everything will come together. So I kind of made it, since I did a straight tree, God help me, I'm just kind of fixing that. And I'm going to consistently use this color to make sure that all these important branches are doing what they should be. And that it's wide where it leaves the trunk, but then it gets more thin, right? And there's another branch. It's got to come in here. This is too uniform. I got to make this a little bit more funky. Okay. This is going to get a little thick right here, but it's okay. I'm embracing it for what it is. So I just want you to flow with this. Mine's going to get dark pretty quickly, but I'm going to try to keep the branches as thin as possible. This is the trick as you get out. It's going to extend. You can go over your other ones, right? Over those first lines, totally up to you. You can pick and choose what details are most important to you. If you did any of those primaries, just come in and just do those secondary details with the darker color. I kind of like the textured. I have like some lighter branches and I have some darker branches. It's kind of neat. So you don't have to go over everything with a darker color if you don't want to, but you can kind of pick and choose what areas you may want to highlight to be darker. But the contrast is what's really going to stand out against the moon. in that background. My birds need to be a little darker. But you can see it's visually starting to come together. I have a little bit of like a thick branch in the middle, which is fine. I'm just going to embrace it. You can always try to like wipe it out too with a corner of a paper towel. Let me see if I can. I don't think I can get rid of it, but you can try. I don't have the right paper. Oh, I can get it out a little bit. There. So I was able to clean that up a little bit. So if you can always try with a little bit of paper towel. I might have to come in with a little bit of orange. You can try to correct something if you want to. There. So I was able to clean up a little bit of that, which is kind of nice. So I can make some of those thin again, but I'm just going to let that dry. So it's, with watercolor, there is some forgiveness. You just have to be willing to correct it, right? And this is just like a learning process. Like watercolor takes a long time to learn and to practice and play with different skills. So this is all, we're all here for fun, right? I'm just going to come in and I'm going to do a little bit more black on my birds. So my birds have that really strong, beautiful contrast while my tree is drying. If there's any other elements, like if you want to do an owl in the tree or, you know, whatever, you can do that. All right. All right. So I have those nice, and like the moon is really starting to jump out now. I'm gonna let the middle dry. I'm gonna fix up some of those. But I want you to kind of follow pace as you need to. I'm gonna come down here while everything's drying and just re-outline. I love this dark line at the bottom. This line at the bottom, I'm gonna make it a little darker. So you may or may not be doing this border line like I did. I like the structure. While everything's drying, I'm going to take my ruler and my pencil and continue those lines all the way around. If you wanted to do the same, you could. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I'm going to take my 1/2 inch here and mark that all the way around. I'm going to do this black line all the way around. Because then I can always make it thicker if I want to. There's choices, right? Okay. 1/2 inch is there. Right. 1/2 inch. So this is the one of the components of class where you can follow along with me and you can do what I'm doing, but there's also the opportunity for you to incorporate the details that mean the most to you. And I like talking about it because it's really empowering to know that you can try to do different things. And you all have really been in these classes for a while, so you know what it's like to have an idea and have the courage. You've all had the courage to just incorporate it. I'm just going to spin this and just do this top line. I love the border look. I know, Jenny, you love doing the border look too. My painter's tape is in my car, so I'm just using a ruler to get these straight lines with a pencil, but you can use painter's tape. You could always tape it before class too. I kind of like that we didn't tape it before class because I was able to do the full background, and the full background is now inclusive and a part of the lines that I've created, which is kind of neat. All right. So I'm just going to let everything dry. If you give your things, again, with watercolor, we have a little patience. Giving things a minute to dry is a really good thing, so things don't spread. Very important for things not to spread. I had a little water spreading in the middle, so I am letting that dry as much as possible. And I'm going to do the black line all the way around. I really like that framework. But this is just a really fun example of watercolor where we did our moon, we played with the colors, right? You picked your favorite colors. You could add, different shades of oranges or reds or yellows, which is really kind of empowering. And then you can go from there. And then we played with the texturing on the background. which I don't know about you all, but I love how my texture came out. What did folks do for your background texture? Did you add lines? Did you guys do splatters? What did you end up deciding?
One of my lines kind of was watery,
Yeah.
so it's wavy.
Oh,
Only one of them.
oh,
I'm wishing that was the whole,
yeah.
you know.
So like that was a happy accident you happened.
Yes. But this is mine without being finished. I did the border all around.
Oh, pretty. You have your very vibrant, beautiful Sharon or Susan.
Yeah.
Nice. Love
That's
it. Let me remove my spotlight. If anybody wants to show their work, feel free. I'm gonna paint my lines around. Oh, nice. Oh, your tree came out great. Nice, Terry. Oh, Janice's is nice and vibrant.
ooh,
So cool.
I used
beautiful.
I used a fan brush on the background to make some lines
Oh,
and
nice.
then did some splatters, and then I'm gonna use a marker, a Posca marker to make a black border.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you could definitely use a marker around the background. I didn't even think about that. You could use a Sharpie. You could use like a micron pen. Let me see what I have right here. What a good
What I
idea,
was gonna do
Sharon.
was a micron pen around for a board.
Micron pen. Yeah, let me see
Yeah.
what I have. I have eyeliner. Eyeliner is not going to work. Don't use eyeliner. It's like a crappy eyeliner too. Don't use that. I should throw it in the garbage. Let me see. My husband actually took one of my micron pens. Let's see if I have one over here. Let's see. Oh, I have one right here. It's funny with these microns. I'm going to freehand it. Let's see how this works. I'm letting my tree dry. I'm being very patient with my tree. This micron pen is so fine. It's not even going to work. It's too fine.
Is it? I was wondering
This
about
one
that.
is. Yeah, it's not. I don't want it. I don't like it.
I was almost thinking too into using a gel pen, like
Gel pen is a
I've
great
used these
idea.
before too. Yeah.
So I have an ink pen right here and I have a Sharpie. The ink pen might be too thin. I'm gonna try this Sharpie. This is probably brand new. I'm just gonna use my hand and go really slow.
Hey, Megan, I'm just curious. A while back, you said you could work in purple or green, especially with the Halloween theme. I was really
Yeah.
curious about the purple, but like, I don't want to ruin what I have. What would you do to get purple into the mix?
I would just put it on some of the tree. So you could do really soft purple like branches kind of tucked in where you may have gaps. That could look really cool.
Okay, thank
Try
you.
that. Or put a little on your birds maybe. Yeah.
Mm.
The Sharpie's working pretty good, ladies and gents.
Okay.
I'm trying to be patient and go slow, except I just messed up. That's all right.
I took a Chinese calligraphy class through the library the other week, and it really helped me figure out like pressure and brush
Oh,
control with the
yeah.
watercolor
Mhm.
brush.
I bet.
That's awesome.
My calligraphy wasn't great, but I learned new technique.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like using the tip of the brush, Sharon, and you're really light, especially when you do branches, right?
Yeah, and you hold the brush differently. Like they taught us to hold the brush straight up and down, which actually helped
Yes.
figure out the pressure.
So artists do that as well, especially when you want to have a really fine line. To be totally candid, I've never been really good at it. So I don't teach it in my classes because it's really hard, but it is something that you can practice and it is an option. So it's kind of like so I'm holding a Sharpie up and down versus holding it like this. I could hold a Sharpie up and down,
Mm.
which I'm not. I don't hold your Sharpie like that because it's just awkward, but you could do that with a paintbrush if you wanted to. I'm just doing a block line with a Sharpie on my pencil. I'll show you guys what it looks like. But the Sharpie's working fine. This is probably breaking all the rules, but you know. But you can use a micron pen to even touch up any of your birds. It's up to you. I'm going to sign the bottom corner with my Sharpie. This will look nice and professional, right? There, little signature. So you know what I'm saying. So you can really kind of play with this. The line, I love the border around it. It really just kind of structures it, but I can keep working, right? But I was just letting my tree dry a little bit just to show you. And with watercolor, this tree could have been painted with, acrylic or whatever. But I love the fact of how we played with watercolor for some of these background details and beyond. So I'm just going to mix a little bit more black pigment with a little more water. I ran out. And I want all of us to be happy with the level of contrast. So I'm kind of going over where I blotted some stuff up and I'm just fixing it just to restructure my tree. There we go. And look at each branch for what it is. Do you need to add any more secondary branches? Using the tip of your brush, to Sharon's point during that calligraphy class, you can really kind of come in and just, if you pay attention to how you're holding your brush and how gently you are applying some of those brush strokes, can really soften the experience. I have a lot of little branches happening here. I kind of like it. So kind of up and down and all around. You can make your tree as stick-like or as simple as you wish. So those are just choices that we all have in today's class.
Megan, so I just got brave.
Yeah, what did you do?
I have masking tape around as a border, and I just took the gel pen and went around the masking tape. And
Oh,
I
nice. I love
think
that it's nice and thick
worked.
too.
Yeah,
Did
well,
it go on nice and smooth, or did it give you
did,
any
but I
conflict?
had to take my time though. I jumped in one spot, I think, because I was kind of rushing a little bit
Yeah.
with the pen.
Yep.
So I slowed down. I think I was just getting excited that it was
I know. I know. I know. I
And I'm
might put a
like,
little owl right here.
I'm
It's got
outlining
little
my
ears,
tree with
Susan.
purple.
It might look like a cat. I might put a cat in the tree. That'd be ridiculous.
It's thin, but it worked, you guys.
Ooh, nice. Oh, that's
See it?
beautiful.
Let's see.
I put a little owl.
Ooh.
Yeah,
That
I
looks
just pulled
nice,
it to
Jenny.
see. Yeah, I
Oh.
like it.
So yeah, gel pen has that thicker consistency, right? So it's gonna hold well.
It worked very well.
Awesome.
I was so nervous to do it because I like my
No.
painting.
If anything, Jenny, it would just go on thin, right? You would just need to find a thicker,
Yeah,
a
that's
gel
what
pen
it
wouldn't
did.
spread, right? It
No,
wouldn't
it didn't
spread like a
spread.
watercolor tip,
That's
potentially.
what I was worried that it might spread under,
Right.
either under the tape or get too thick. And no, it
Exactly.
worked really well.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad you
Yeah,
tried that.
I'm
Thank you for sharing that
excited.
with us. So kind of look at your branches and say, okay, what branches need a little more character? Which ones are good, right? I have a lot of straight branches still, but I put a little owl in the tree, just chilling. It's his home.
Oh, that's cute, Megan. Yeah,
Kind of looks like a cat with no tail, but it's an owl.
I love it.
I could turn some of these birds into bats for you all. Let's see if I can do that. That could be fun. We might as well. All right, let me get my bat. Look at this. I'll get my other bat painting out and we can just really have some solid comparisons here of the shaping of bat wings. So the way I was teaching it in the prior class was you kind of do upside down M's for the underside of the wing, and they're thicker towards the body. So if anything, you can bring it up a little higher. Yeah, it's a little tricky. You're just gonna make it a little thicker towards the inside of the body, and the wings still stay pretty thin. So let's just do. It's a little tricky when they're far away, so you just kind of have to just do a few of them, if anything. And I'll do little ears on top for Susan. So that's a pretty butchered effect, but that has a little bit of shape to it. Let me do this one. Hi, hi, hi. And then M's kind of down, but it's just towards the inside of the body. So the tips of the wings are going to be pretty. And it's got a pointy bottom, kind of like a bee stinger. And they kind of got, I don't want to say like thorns on their wings, but that's pretty creepy right there. Can make it a little thicker towards the inside of the wing. So anyways, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I'm just being playful to show you an example. Always happy to just try. I don't mind failing. I don't mind trying new things. Don't mind. Just we're here to have fun and try something new. Oh, this bat's like flying. This wing is like not pointed in the right direction though. Let's see if I can fix it. These bats, there's something special going on here, Susan. I don't know what's going on, but
Let's see.
they're a little deranged. That's Halloween, right? You have Halloween, things aren't always right.
Right.
Look at these bats, they're so funny. They're like long, they're not wide enough in the right areas. This is where we just make some modifications.
Thanks, Megan. I've got to run.
All right, thank you so much for being here. I hope you had
Oh,
fun.
looks
Thank
nice,
you.
Terry.
All right,
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
go ahead and I'll just re-spotlight so folks can see some of these details. But Terry, thanks for being here. Great to see you as always.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm so glad I could do this class today. It's been a while.
I
Me
know.
too.
Yeah.
It's very Halloween. It's fun to kind of do some different Halloween ones for sure. And you all did awesome with your moons. I'm so proud of you. And if anybody's watching the recording, be sure to share your artwork with us. We always love seeing what you do because we all are different personalities, different creative styles, and we learn a lot from one another, you know, like we all use different tools and materials. You know, Terry used her gel pen to go around the edges. It's always fun to see and hear how people are going to approach things a little differently. So thank you for just showing up and being yourselves and playing with us. I love how this tree is like so eerie. There's so many little broken branches. It's just like very eerie, but I like it. So you can see where I have the darker contrast and where around the edges it's still fairly light. I would like to make those darker. I'm going to try to stay on those lines. If you like lines and you want to make them darker, just try to stay right on those so your painting doesn't continue to change, right? So I like these branches. I'm using my brush and I'm staying right on those branches to add that darker consistency. For me, that darker consistency is important. So I'm going to try to maintain those, but I want them to stand out more. That is why I'm making it darker. And I want this darker consistency to be throughout the entire tree. So as long as a lot of these primaries are darker, which you can see a lot of the primaries are getting darker, I can have little gray branches tucked in. Like for me, that's okay, right? And I'm just talking through some of these options so you can make some of those choices on your end. Which branches do I want to make a little darker? Just go slow and make those branches a little darker. With watercolors, we typically have lights and darks. This tree, for me, is just a lot of contrast. For me, I played with the background with the lights and the darks, and I played with the moon with the lights and the darks, or those the range of colors. So all watercolor paintings are so different, but you can have those light branches kind of tucked in here with this style, which is kind of neat. Okay. But we all can keep painting as we see fit. I'll wrap up our recording. So for anyone watching the recording, I just want to thank you for being here. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and I'm happy to follow up with you with any questions. And I hope to see you again next time.